Gopalan Palyat. He was the ex-Vice President HR Skoda Volkswagen India. Today he will be speaking on campus to corporate transition to pickup. Welcome, sir. You can start.
Thank you. So all of you can see me?
Yeah. Can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. So good morning, all of you. So I don't know how many are listening. So let's see.
Everybody will be listening, sir. You can just.
Okay. So you can all see me. So I'm not going to share any PowerPoint as of now. So my name is Raj. I just retired from Skoda Volkswagen, which is, as all of you know, owner of 12 famous and solid automobile brands, starting from Volkswagen, Bentley, Ducati, Audi, Porsche. And Skoda is the oldest brand in that stable. I have spent about 38 years in the corporate domain. So, starting with DCM Shriram Group, working with the public sector, then moved on to a very famous and old, more than 100-year-old multinational, GE, then Sandvik, which is again a 160-year-old Swedish multinational, then Tata's, and finally Skoda Volkswagen. Skoda again is a more than 100-year-old brand. So that is who am I, and what am I going to talk today? So I'm just going to talk about, with this experience in HR. I must have interviewed, I must have visited countless campuses, hired many campus hires, summer trainees. So I have mentored many of them, people who have joined with me as management trainees. I have seen them becoming general managers in my career, taking a plum expat assignment. So what are some of the things which, made them, really break the ceiling and grow? And one important thing is, all of them, one of the things I learned in this wonderful company called GE is that you need not be from any premier institute. So it's from GE that we went to different business schools and hired the best from everywhere. So you need not be from any premier business school or A-level business school. So Amity or IIM Ahmedabad or Harvard Business School or MIT Sloan, what they get you is a foot in the door. Then it is up to you to kind of make a difference, So, and that is, then it is for you to perform and show some, skills which will take you forward. So I'm just going to talk about some of them. I think there are 6 or 7 of them. So is it clear? Do you have any questions, any questions or any thoughts at this point in time? You're muted. Yes, Vinod, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, the thing is that this is one-way talk. They will ask you by chat only. Once you complete the chat, question answer session starts. So you can.
Okay. Yeah, let me try with this so that there is no disturbance. So, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So one of the first things, I have seen is trust. Have any of you heard a particular word, very simple word called stretch? So stretching is simply, there are 2-3 things about stretch. Stretch is like going beyond the goal, like I remember doing, we did a huge worker satisfaction survey in Tata Tea. Tata Tea is a company. That point in time, it had 50,000 employees, and out of that, 45,000 were garden workers. So we said, we'll do an, we had a challenge of finding the satisfaction of these garden workers. So I had this management trainee with me, and we together we did a lot of innovative things to design a questionnaire. We had gardens in South India and gardens in the North India. So what we did is we went to a management school in Kerala, hired 10 summer trainees. We went to Guwahati from a management school. We hired 10 trainees from them. We trained them. We sent them to the tea gardens for a month, and they came back with the huge, the data, which is not structured and collated. So that is when I saw stretch in this management training I had. I thought we would take one whole week to kind of, present the preliminary data to the management. But this particular training, she produced it on third day morning. I get a PPT in Calcutta. She's sitting with these students in Guwahati, and I get this PowerPoint. And it said, Raj, you can present it to the top table meeting today. Top table is equivalent of the board in Tata Tea. So I said, how is it possible? We said, this will take up to 10 days to collate it. So what did you do? Did you hire extra guys? She said, no. Me and my boys, we didn't sleep for 3 days. So they made this is called stretch. I gave a target of 1 week to, get the data. 3 days, third day morning, I have the collated data. So this is called stretch. Stretch also shows, that can-do attitude, so showing now it is lockdown, people are learning new, people are really showing what can be done. And another part of stretch is called, not being reactive. So this is a personal example. I, when I was fresh out of business school, I used to be a very reactive person. If my manager used to give me a responsibility, I used to just, I used to be negative. How can this be done? So this really hurt this really hampered my career, probably till I was about 30 plus. When I joined GE, then I realized the value of stretching and developing a positive attitude. So not being reactive, So any of you who have some army or Fauji background would have said there, they say, first obey, then complain. So simply, whenever you hear something displayed or your top management is showing a very, in management jargon, it's called big, hairy, audacious goals. Bhag, some of you must have read about this Bhag and management goals. So don't just get ruffled. Don't react. Maybe it's deliverable. So that is one. Another important part of stretch is learning totally different, skills. Like old people like me, learning computer. So my own example, I joined a private sector company, very popular for hiring premium management graduates and IIT grads. It's in the FMCG space. So I was moving from a public sector, I straight away jumped into a private sector company with a lot of. So there I had a shared secretary, and in my first week, one of the tasks I had was I had to make, I think, 10 appointment letters. And that time we used to, I think, use a, I don't know, any of you, probably Matthew must have used it, or Vinod, I don't know how old you are. There is this thing called Word Star, so that time, that was before Word. So I realized that this lady was holding me to ransom. So, and she knew I didn't know Word Star. So, and my MD, he's the owner of the company, he said, I want to sign these letters tomorrow morning. So then I realized this girl would leave office, without delivering. So I told my wife, I'm coming home late. I have to make this appointment letters. I just sat, I left office at 1 o'clock. So by trial and error, I just printed so many letterheads, and by the end of the day, I had, I had these letters. So that's about stretch. So that is number one. Second thing, normally you don't, of course, you do, business schools nowadays do a lot of extracurricular things, Way back, in the 80s, in our management school, we remember we created and hosted an arts festival called Talent Time. And that was an absolute, lesson in teamwork. So that's, Matthew may remember this Talent Time. So that is when I realized my own team working skills. So here, number one thing is, what are you good at? Are you just, are you taking MBA because your parents are telling you to, or are you really want to get into engineering, or is pure science your domain, or arts, journalism? So how do you relate with others? A lot of people, here I would give a famous example of, how many of you heard about Sanjeev Kapoor? I think he's a lot of people, who's Sanjeev Kapoor? So I'm talking about the famous chef, who's a celebrity chef, probably much before I think it's Sanjay Kapoor, sorry. So much before this master chef, or, all these things became popular, he's the one who took cooking to our drawing rooms, So when he was, he got, the first thing, he got admission into engineering. He got admission into diploma engineering, and his dad asked him, Sanjay, what do you want to do? He said, Dad, I'm going to join this, catering college. So his dad asked him, kya tum bade hoke chole bhature bechoge? So, but, realize that is called self-awareness. So, this is what can give you a career, this is what gives you success. And the rest is history. So he went to this, where a catering college, joined the hotel, then he realized he started endorsing brands, celebrity. So that is, in simple words, self-awareness, understanding what you are good at. Next is the impact of your behavior on other people. So I don't know whether this is thought about it. I don't know whether you do peer assessment or, 360-degree assessment in business school. So this is where, you may think that your behavior is, kind of pretty good, but do you know what kind of impact your behavior makes on others? So that's it. Another major part of relationship skills is empathy, reaching out to people. You must have seen, even in a typical MBA class, there are people whom people go to kind of, cry on their shoulder, like they always kind of share their secrets with them. So these are the people who, people trust and who reach out to people. So another major factor of relationship skills is ability to, there are some people who are very self-righteous. So they keep talking about, where they came from, back home. And so I used to do this. So, I worked in GE for about 5.5 years. GE is at that point in time the most admired company every year in quick succession in the Fortune most admired company, best company to work for. So after leaving GE, I went to Tata's, and I always used to, every day I would quote, I would lecture people about Six Sigma, how GE works, how do you stretch, what is integrity, what is this. So my boss once reminded me, Raj, you don't work in GE anymore. So, you work in Tata's. So the bottom line is nobody likes lectures. There are many people who are self-righteous and always talk about how they come and where they come from. So that is about not giving lectures to others. Another major thing which is probably you get trained in business schools is what you heard is called platform skills. So in platform skills, the number one thing is ability to stand up and give presentations and think on your feet when you're asked questions. So ability to give impactful presentations. So this comes by practice. If you don't get trained in your business school, this is where you have to, I first saw a PowerPoint presentation at the ripe age of 34. So, and I had a huge delegation coming in from the US to stand up and deliver a PowerPoint pitch, and I had no practice. And, so I delivered a method. I had this company calendar. This was in GE. So after dinner, I would stretch my calendar on the wall. I would get my wife and son. Every night for probably 2-3 weeks, I would give this pitch, which I had to give to this delegation from the US to my wife and son, and took feedback from them. So probably presentation skills. Another thing is, which you must have heard, is called how to give an elevator pitch, elevator speech or elevator pitch. Probably, Vinod, if you heard about it, just raise your hand. Elevator pitch. So an elevator speech is, like suddenly you are in front of, the chairman of your company in an elevator. You're alone with him and you have a 30-second or a 1-minute ride up to the 50th floor. It happened to me in my life. Suddenly you have 1 minute or 30 seconds to make an impression to your chairman, which nobody else gets in a lifetime of a career in a company. And how will you make a speech in that 30 seconds or 1 minute, which talks about you, who you are, where are you working, what are your challenges, how are you going to face your challenges, and so that it leaves a lasting impression on that person. So this is called an elevator pitch. So any of you, when you're new in a company, suddenly you can come face to face with your chairman. So, have your boilerplate ready. Your boilerplate is just a description. I'm Raj, I'm based in Pune. I'm leading the GE X-ray machines and Siam plant in Pune. I'm leading, my company has 800 people. My challenges are da-da-da. Simple. You should have this ready at any point in time. Whether you are the head of the business school, whether you are a student, you don't know whom you are going to encounter in the elevator. So this is called an elevator pitch. And I had the good fortune of, I was in the US in a famous avenue called Lexington Avenue, where GE has a huge building. I had 4 hours to kill in New York City. And I knew that this was 1997. I went to my company's office, and this was on, I think, the 30th floor. And as I entered the lift, I had my business head in that elevator. So he asked me, "What are you doing here? You look like, so that's when we did an elevator. Another part of platform skills is asking questions. You've all heard, no question is stupid. So ability to ask questions, whether they are smart questions or stupid questions, do ask questions. Another major part of platform skills is being street smart. Being street smart is, like ability to, I worked in this wonderful Swedish company called Sandvik. It's a world leader in cutting tools. It has more than 50% global market share in cutting tools. So that is something, when I hired salespeople for the company, I said, ability to sell on the top floor and the shop floor. So being street smart is the ability to sell on the shop floor itself. So one of the reasons, why I was hired in GE was my ability to get along with people on the shop floor. So my CEO at that point in time asked me, "How many names do you know on the shop floor?" My factory was far away. So being street smart is ability to get along with all levels of people without any hang-ups. Ability to come improvise, ability to come with smart solutions, So these are things which are part of platform skills. Then we move to ability to lead. So I think number one factor in leadership is ability to manage people, giving tasks to various team members, then hold reviews, and check progress. These are things about people management. Next is influencing. How do we influence your key stakeholders around you, people who report to you, the peer group, and people above you? So how to make crucial conversations. That's one very important part in influencing. Another major part in leadership, which I have learned, is ability to look at the big picture. If I'm in HR, how does it impact marketing? How does it impact manufacturing? How does it impact logistics, which is a very big piece in automobile industry? How does it impact purchasing? How does it impact research and development? So how do you fit into the being, think beyond HR? If I'm in HR, thinking beyond HR. How do you fit into the whole company? Another big part of leadership, which may not manifest in, when you are a student, is, you have heard this, walking the talk. As a leader, when you file your travel claim, people are looking at it. If you are giving a big lecture about integrity, being honest, not misusing companies, not misusing companies' property or resources, the first thing your team members look at is, are you doing it as a leader? So that is walking the talk. So can I go forward? Vinod, can you just gesture to me? Is it making any sense, or I'm just, am I making any sense? Can you give me a thumbs up sign just to see?
Yes, sir. It's very wonderful, sir. Go ahead. It's nice.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going a bit fast because of time management, but probably if I can probably take questions or come back and give you, more examples.
Yeah. You can go ahead. It's very wonderful.
Yeah. So then next is leadership. So after leadership, you've heard this, networking. So when I meet, I meet all my campus recruits on first day. So in Skoda Fourway, we hire people from BITS Pilani every year, and from 4 management institutes, we hire management trainees. So that was 5 years ago. Then because of business reasons, we don't do it anymore. So my first day, when I talk about networking, my first question is, how many of you have more than 1,000 Facebook connections? And I know probably almost all of them, kind of raise their hands. Now, networking is more than having, Facebook connections. It is using your LinkedIn connections, using your Facebook connections, and of course, every company worth its salt, especially big companies, Tata's, or take any big company, Infosys, TCS, Cognizant, look at any successful company, they all have a very strong internal network. Any multinational company, you need to have connections with people in the headquarters. So, becoming a valuable partner in that network makes a lot of difference. How to get friends in the first place? This is what my boss told me, 30 years ago. Raj, you don't even know how to ask for help. That was a big revelation for me. Because if I had, because my finance CFO, I was HR head for a greenfield company, and my CFO was not at all cooperating with me. He would give me written memos, and I went to my CEO and asked him, and he is a very good mentor, very good supporter. Asked him, sir, I'm not getting any cooperation from Prakash. So he asked me, Raj, you don't even know how to ask for help. So I said, what does it mean? What do you mean? I said, have you any point in time, have you gone to Prakash and asked for help on, there are many things you don't know. You don't even know how to make an Excel sheet and, put formula in it. So have you asked for Prakash's help? Then it realized asking for help is the best way to get support from another person. First step in networking. Another major element I have found in networking is getting resources. So getting resources is suddenly, I was just talking about this worker satisfaction survey I did in Tata Tea. So a major consultant quoted, I think at that point in time, this was in year 2001, I think 1.5 or 2 million rupees for that survey. And it just took the resourcefulness of my management trainee, who's from this Guwahati Business School, and I just happened to know a management school in Kerala. So within 1 week, within the 3rd day, I flew down to Cochin to interview these boys, and we had 10 resources ready to do the enumeration. We had questionnaires in Hindi and Assamese ready, and we had a questionnaire in Tamil in the Munnar and Valparai estates ready to be rolled out. And in the process, we saved this 1.5 or 2 million rupees for the company. So getting resources from, you must have heard in corporates, this guy can, Matthew can get resources from it. He has so many contacts, he can go to the government. He knows so many people, industrial secretary. So this is how getting resources. And these contacts are, nobody has this magic of getting contacts. Contacts are cultivated, and it depends on how you cultivate your contacts and how you keep them. You would be surprised, like on, I see huge influencers in LinkedIn, Leena Nair. I don't know who, Matthew and you must have heard about who Leena Nair is. She's a global HR director of
Unilever.
Unilever. So she studied she did her engineering in Maharashtra, then went on to, So I just sent her a connection request and, she just accepted it. So there are so many influencers you can get connected to. So then it's up to you to cultivate and keep. You'd be surprised, by the amount of contacts you can create that way. So that is about networking. And then we go to, the next one, there is this very old fashioned poster, I saw this in my first job, I think, there is this poster, like, are you part of the problem or are you here with a solution? It still works today. So, there are, my wife often tells me when I complain that complaint erases good fortune. So there are some people who keep on complaining, my salary is not good, my car is not good, I need a better car, this is not good, this coming, So are you giving options or so give options, not problems. Now I'll have to ask a question. I have to get an answer either from Vinod or Matthew, whoever is hearing. Why is, I am from the automobile domain. Which brand has the maximum market share in India?
Maruti.
Yeah, Matthew, why is, Maruti has probably, it's about 50% market share. What is one reason why is Maruti has such overwhelming market share?
People's confidence in the quality.
But I want one word, which is why Maruti is, confidence is a higher level thing. There is something with Maruti which is so,
Is it because of the wind?
Wind in the sense that it is...
No. Is it something associated with the Indianness in the name?
It's a simple thing, Indian. Do you think a layman customer would go at whether it is Indianized or as long as it's on 4 wheels, the average Indian customer, what is the first question he asks, like, kitna mileage? Mileage and a simple word called low maintenance.
Okay.
So we call it low maintenance, in customer experience lingo, we call it low maintenance. So,
may I have a question for you, Rajkumar?
Yes, Matthew, go ahead, shoot.
So I own a Vento. I'm a proud owner of a Vento car.
Okay.
No, my question is, see, I always found out why Vento is charging so huge on its AMCs and maintenance. And that is one thing which sets it apart from like Honda City and all that. And what I would have thought is, if they can upload or the maintenance cost in the initial sales price and then reduce the maintenance, I think it would have more acceptance in the market. That's my reading.
I will give this feedback to our after sales team.
No. I was just joking. Because I always thought, see, when you buy the car for 10, 12 lakhs, even if you spend some 50,000 rupees more, you won't really bother. And this 50,000 can be reduced in your annual maintenance. And if annual maintenance is made only 3,000, I'm sure that Vento cars will take off like anything. Instead of reducing price of the Vento car, then because people are not concerned at the price when you buy it initially, but in the subsequent expenses, people are really bothered.
Okay.
No, I was just sharing.
So I was relating, there are people, I realize, the people I have supported and promoted throughout in my career are people who are low maintenance. They never complain, they are, and the people I think who constantly crib about low, low salary increase, low salary levels are all the ones who get the lowest priority when you discuss promotion and performance appraisal in the corner. So being low maintenance like Maruti. Next, being a solution provider is one big skill. It could be PowerPoint. I remember there is, there are a lot of people who are very dear to their bosses. I'm sure this applies to business schools as well. There are people who are masters in making presentations, isn't it? And they are, and they are very dear to their bosses. Boss would give a vision, a lecture about vision. These smart cookies would make a beautiful PowerPoint out of it, and it's ready to go. So that is one big skill. It could be PowerPoint, it could be Excel, it could be SAP, it could be anything. Next is how to, when you have a problem, when you really have a problem, how to address issues and not people. So yeah, here we have a problem here instead of, like Raj is a problem person. So next is managing your boss. So hello. You can hear us, right, Vinod?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, managing your boss. I don't think it's taught, and this is something you will have to learn. Understanding your boss's pressures. And one of the very important thing about managing your boss is not giving your boss surprises. If your boss is to give a pitch to the other, to the board colleagues next day morning, and you are making that pitch and giving it to him, you better go through it 10 times and make sure there is not a single mistake in it. Typos included. Next big element in managing your boss is making him or her look good. Simple. Making your boss look smart. Next is personal integrity with your boss. So this is not broadcasting your boss's sins in the office or factory, because if you talk ill about your boss behind his or her back, these things have a nasty habit of going back to him. Because, everyone has a network. So if you have an imperfect boss, just hang on. All of us may get an imperfect boss for some time, so just hang on. Another major factor in a corporate is flying in rough weather. Currently, we are going through rough weather. We are going through turbulence, and we don't know even, we don't even know when this is going to end. I am very afraid of turbulences in the air, especially when we are flying in the dark. So people are adapting to, teachers are buying laptops, learning PowerPoint, learning how to operate Zoom. So we are all flying through real rough weather. Companies suddenly go through, orders dry out. Suddenly you retrench people, pink slips. So here what shows up is resilience. Resilience and your ability to manage stress are part of flying in rough weather. Next is, how do you play in a team? So fitting in, how do you fit into a diverse team? I'm in Amity, I don't know, Amity's major campus is in Noida, or where is this? So as a Keralite, how do you go and fit in with any team, So next big part of team playing is enjoying diversity. Enjoying diversity is getting along with people from all walks of life, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, gender, nationality, state, languages, everything. Because especially big corporates, multinationals, they always talk about enjoying and thriving in diversity. Next is speaking with one voice. I'm meeting a team with 10 people, and smart CEOs, sometimes they just call one and they will ask you, Raj, what are your challenges in Pune? So, and after my 1-on-1 with my CEO is over, he would call the next person. So Matthew, what are your challenges? So if both of you don't speak with one voice, his CEO would catch the leader of the location and would say, well, there is so much of communication leak happening in your, what kind of team are you building in Pune? There's so much of communication leak happening, So I asked them about challenges. Matthew is saying it is signing the wage contract, and Raj is saying the number one challenge is getting orders. So simple, speaking with one voice. Next is celebrating together. I have seen the importance of celebrating in, pizza parties, dosa diners, or any party, beer hall parties, just look for a relation to celebrate every win, birthdays, and work anniversaries. Just give something, put it on the Facebook, be visible. So, just people who just make, this gives you a lot of mileage. Celebrating together. Invent a reason to celebrate together. Then, those of you who are going to be hired, to the corporate, I don't know how many of you have you heard, there is a very famous book, a very small book. I have an e-summary. If any of you interested, I can mail you the e-summary. The First 90 Days. Have you seen the book? A small book. The First 90 Days. When you join a corporate, when you join any institution, you make your first and lasting impression in the first 90 days. So when you are a fresh campus hire, how do you manage your first 90 days? So number one, managing the first impressions. The simple stuff you hear, like, a firm handshake, looking in the eye, well-dressed, well-groomed, energy, spring in the steps, all this high energy. How do you demonstrate energy? Managing the first impressions. Second is creating visibility. Creating visibility is, if you are very visible on Facebook, how can you take that visibility from Facebook to your corporate life? So making, now taking pictures and putting it in your e-magazine, so this is creating visibility. Next is, you must have heard, low-hanging fruits. You heard about it? Low-hanging fruit. So I call it plucking the low-hanging fruit. So if we have time, this is the, I can give you a very small and recent example of my life. So if I have time of another 2-3 minutes for the presentation, Vinod just gives me a thumbs up.
You have 15 minutes more. So no problem.
Okay, so low-hanging fruits is any company you go, and even if this company is head by the Jack Welch or the best managers in the country, there would always be some small issue which you can solve, you can identify and solve. I would give this my own example. Some 7 years ago, I was advising a couple of companies, and one company, my task was, this was a huge multinational based in the UK. They bought 3 units in India from another big multinational, and one unit was very problematic. And the task for me was to sanitize that unit. Sanitize means, there was a very militant and volatile union. Even after, I think, 6 months of buying that company, the global HR head and the India managing director were not able to set foot in that factory. So my task was to go to that, and I was a consultant advisor to that company. So I said, let me go and find out. I always having this, I went to that company. It is not a very famous location for industrial relations, known for militant unions. But having worked in this field for so many years, I spoke the language, what those people, I speak the language. I went there. My first day, I spent time with the plant head. I spent time with and second day, nothing was happening. I was not able to, I realized I was not making much inroads. Third day morning, that day evening, I was traveling back from the plant. I told the plant head, boss, so now what's happening? I'm just hanging around. Today you send word to the union, you give this message to the union leadership that this there is this consultant, from head office who's here. If you have not signed the wage agreement. The wage agreement is 18 months overdue. You have not signed it. Production is hampering. If there is any issue, why don't you at least go and talk to him? So, so evening I went, there was no HR head in that, he was fired. So I went to his cabin. So by about 4 o'clock, the shift finished and about 15 of them barged into this room. And then they started asking me, "Aap kaun hai? Aap kya karoge? Consultant hai, advisor hai, aap kya karoge? Abhi company se paise leke chale jayega." So then I listened to them and I asked them, okay, I'm an advisor. Give me one issue, one small issue. You said, okay, I'm an advisor. I may not have power. Give me one small issue, which, give me a list of issues and give me the top issue. So there is a leader in that who gave me the first issue. Sir, dekho, hamare canteen mein aap itne din, 3 din aap khana khaya. Hum ek water cooler ke liye 3 saal se lad rahe hain. Itna hum mein gaya, abhi tak wo water cooler installed nahi. So I wrote down 3-4 problems. I went to their head office. And the first thing I did was I realized that this requisition for this water cooler was pending with the finance head. I went to the first meeting with the finance head. That finance head turned out to be a Malu. Within 5 minutes, I got that thing which was pending for so many years. I had instant rapport building with him. That thing was approved. And then I called up the plant manager from there. I said, boss, the water cooler is approved. It's your job to get it installed in the next 7 days. And when I'm visiting there next, I wanted to be there. Next visit, networking automatically happened. When I went to this factory gate, this entire union committee was there to receive me. I said, how did it happen? So then my driver told me, boss, sir, abhi hamare, aapko ye taxi mein aap aane wala hai, company union leader logon ka phone aaya tha. So then I asked him, why are you going to meet me? He said, sir, aap to kya tir mara, 3 saal mein jo water cooler nahi aaya, aap ek din mein laya. So this is called a low hanging fruit. A simple thing. So that opened my doors into that company for, successful advisory or making that plant better or whatever. So that is low hang. Any company, there would be some problem. If you are a new hire, just identify, close it. Next is knowing the business. If you are in car business, if you are in the passenger vehicle business, know it. Even if you are an HR guy, you should know it as much as you are production guy. You should know it as much as a sales guy. So I would dare say one of the reasons I had no automobile background when I was hired in Skoda Volkswagen as a director on the board. And I had to pass a half-an-hour written test only on cars, because I was competing with other people who are from other automobile companies. So I used to just read about, every issue of Auto Car India. Some of you must be, who are motoring enthusiasts must be reading. So my reading of Auto Car India every month paid off. So knowing the business, knowing about, if you are in the car business, better know about cars, much more than what others know. What could be the price, what could be the USP, safety features, engine, torque, so power, so all these things, boot space, ground clearance. What are the things? What are the questions customers asking for? So here I think I've been speaking about the last almost 45 minutes. So some of the things which you need to quickly move from campus to corporate. Now, if you have any questions, I can take them. My bandwidth permit.
Raj, I have a small question.
Yeah.
See, you talked about stretch in the beginning. Yeah. So how do we get our students to imbibe the stretch quality? Is it innate or is it could be trained?
One is, suppose if you give them stretching is, you show students who are already demonstrating stretch, So if you are telling them, to give an assignment, deliver a written paper on something, who are the people who are going beyond the brief and delivering? So showing them, to the class could be one way. So even at the cost of these students attracting jealousy by, So this could be one. Another is the power of, growth comes by stretch. Some of the companies had give examples from, there is this, you must, I don't know whether you use this book called Good to Great in the business school. Do you use Built to Last or Good to Great? So both talk about how to, how did man land on the moon? It is just because of a simple stretch goal. JFK met his key NASA scientists and said, my vision is to take a man to the moon and bring him back safely within this decade. And they delivered it, and that was hell of a stretch goal. So, simple thing like, I don't know how many of you have seen a VHS or a Betamax tape, So, when Akio Morita went into this room, he was, I think, carrying a small paperback novel, and he said, I want the video cassette size used to be probably filled. He said, I want a video cassette which is the size of this. And they delivered it. So this is how you stretch. And stretch means you don't know how, you don't know how to deliver on it. And probably you're sure it's almost impossible. But the goal is in front of you, so you make it.
So the next question is from Professor Ria Rajesh. What she's asking is, what's a good student elevator pitch?
What is a good student elevator pitch? So if I were a student, I would talk about I am from this, I am from this business school. So this is my specialization. He or she would talk about his industry specifically. I did my project with Skoda Volkswagen. I did a project on customer, I actually spoke to real customers and learned their problem. Something like this is what I am looking for. I would look for something, then he may ask you what was your favorite subject, but any business guy would ask for what is the industry interface which the student had. This is what I would look for. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember hiring a management trainee for GE in 1996. She's still there in GE, very successful. She's in Chicago. I remember the question I asked. She did her project with Parley Agro on, we used to have the drink called Appy, right? Appy. I think we used to have a Tetra Pak. So I just asked her about that. That's it. We are as trained interviewers, just probing. So we are looking for industry interface or something you have observed. What they may ask you, what is the USP of your school? Simple as that. Yeah.
So the next question is coming from Dr. Amina Babu.
Yeah.
She's asking, in preparing student industry ready, what we should focus on as management educators. Hello.
I think other than academics, as I told you, I'm looking for simple things like like one thing I look like all my engineering students are my summer trainees. We put them on customer relationship issues. They are talking to customers, they are talking to dealers, they're visiting dealers, and simple things like Excel. I would make them masters of Excel, how to make pivot charts, VLOOKUP, masters of simple hands-on things like Excel. Then how they are, and give them from the school itself, send them on customer surveys, or how to observe, the other day I met in my walking park, one girl and her colleague from a business school quickly walked up to my wife and interviewed her, and she had a very high quality movie camera. She showed me her ID card. She's doing a project, she's doing a project on her own. So, so enthusiasm, their passion. I just had last year I took a student, that student is 18-year-old. He's doing undergrad in a Hong Kong university. He wanted to work on Audi cars for a 2-month assignment. I had to internship for making a thesis. I just hired him because he knew so much about cars and he had so much passion about cars. So that's why I hired him. And every 90-day internship is a 90-day job interview. You show it whether you are from Harvard Business School or whether you're from any institute. You do well in those 90 days, you are sure to be hired. Some of my best hires who are still doing very well with the companies I worked were all my summer trainees. And they made, in the initial days, they made simple Excel sheets. They understood my needs and they made, I remember one of my most successful management trainees, she's an expat sitting in Sweden. She's in Sweden for the last 10 years. She's from not at all a well-known management school in Pune. She came to me and I had to go to Finland to a place called Nokia to make a presentation on a project. And I had no clue. I said, Jaya, this is the presentation I have to make in Nokia. And these are the things. And please come to me with your thoughts, how to make a presentation, how to identify the problem. Just 4 days and she gave a structure to it. Ability to bring structure, think out of ambiguity. These are the things I look for, and they don't train this in IIM Ahmedabad. So she came to me, and that's it. And after summer job, she was just an automatic hire. As a very structured Excel sheet, then she made PowerPoints out of it. She made flashcards, and I was just looking like a hero when I made this pitch to all my country HR managers from 10 other top countries. And there was a standing ovation when I presented and I finished my pitch. And all thanks to this girl called Jaya. And Jaya's there now making similar pitches for the last, she joined Sandvik in 2007, 13 years, she's really doing well. This is what I look for them. This is the kind of skills I look for.
Okay, so now time is over. So thank you. We'll wind up now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That was a wonderful knowledge sharing. We learned a lot.
Okay. Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Vinod, for giving this